Well, I might as well ugly it up, right? So yesterday, and it's still news, and of course, this is what happens in a Canadian market more than seemingly anywhere else with hockey. Um, Linden quits yesterday, and what started filtering out is that ownership and Francesco Acquilini gave out a 12-part tweet. One of them was about the rebuild being a long, arduous process, though rumor has it Benning is on board because he wants to keep his job, whereas Linden at the draft, rumor has it that Linden at the draft was going around and asking teams who've rebuilt or done rebuilds, so how did you guys approach this? How did you guys approach that? Because really, Linden was learning on the job for the last 4 years. He was hired with no experience. And I think he realized quickly that this was a big job. I think he knew that before he took it, but I don't think he realized the stress of it. I really do. If you look at pictures of him from when he got hired until now, and he doesn't look like the same person. Trevor Linden is a guy that I still respect. And I respect him for taking on a job that I don't know there's very many people would want it. The Vancouver Canucks were coming out of that 2011 Stanley Cup run, and I think they were an overestimated team. They were a good team, they weren't a fantastic team, and in the playoffs, that usually got exposed. That they had problems on the back end, and if Luongo had a rough night, they didn't have an answer. And it got blamed on Vino, it got blamed on Luongo, it got blamed on the Sedins, it got blamed on Edler, it got blamed. Basically, there was blame to go around. Everybody got blamed for it. But the idea was still that this was a team that was going to win a Stanley Cup. Oh, yeah, yeah. And there were Canuck fans who believed it, and then it didn't happen. And then the team started diving in the standings, and we had all these no movement, no trade clauses that Gillis had been handing out like Pez. In comes Linden with this fire, and they're like, put that out. And he's like, how? I don't have any training. I don't know, we hired you. Figure it out. And he spent 4 years trying to figure out how to put out the fire that is the Vancouver Canucks. If ownership, if Aquilini is of the mind that they should be back in the playoff hunt next year, Jason Botchford put out an article this morning that I kind of agree with. I agree with him. If the Canucks are a bottom five team again this year, Benning's out of a job. Benning will go. They'll fire him. And again, when you're doing a proper rebuild, people point at the Leafs, right? Leafs won the draft lottery by getting Matthews. And in order to set it up so that they could have the best chance of drafting Matthews, they kept Nylander out of the lineup. They didn't rush Marner either. They got all of these really solid young prospects. They got Riley on the blue line. They've got all these pieces the Canucks don't quite have in place yet. Pettersson's coming over. Pettersson should be good. You got Horvat, who I think is a good second-line center, ideally. Brock Besser, who could be a 35, 40 goal scorer. And so there's pieces there to like. On the blue line, there's concerns about Ulevy that I think Ulevy will dispel pretty early on. But, with what fans are expecting, he may never live up to potential, even if he is a top four defenseman. And then there's Quinn Hughes. And Quinn Hughes is this wild card. Does he go back to college? Does he play this year? Are the Canucks going to rush him into the NHL? And if they do, what'll that do to his development? And there's all these things. And if the Canucks are determined, if Aquilini is determined that, okay, we're going to make the playoffs this year, does that increase the pressure to put Hughes in the lineup? Or does that decrease the pressure to put Hughes in the lineup? Does this mean that signing Beagle and Antoine Roussel wasn't done just for the power play and for penalty killing? And what I mean by power play is there's some guys who are playing on the penalty kill who probably should just be worried about the power play. And that kind of allows them to do that with the additions of Beagle and Roussel, and I think it solidifies the bottom six. But was it just a move made because Benning has sold Aquilini's on the idea that if it wasn't for injuries this past season, the Canucks would have made the playoffs? That narrative's been out there from Benning. Benning said I remember towards the end of the year, they're interviewing him on Sportsnet. And he said, well, before these injuries took place, we were right in the hunt. So I think if we'd stayed healthy all year, we would have been right there right until the end. And as a fan, I went, he's got to say that. He's got to say, you have to say it. He doesn't necessarily believe it, right? Maybe he does. Maybe he does. The problem is that with Vancouver, the idea that you're not going to have injury problems, welcome to Vancouver, you're going to have injury problems. Every single year, the Canucks, and it's been blamed on their schedule because of travel and whatnot, but whatever it is, the Vancouver Canucks, especially on the blue line, have massive injury problems most seasons. And, now it's Tanev, before it was Salo, and there's other injuries that, nag at guys, whether it was Olin back in the day or Edler now. And it's just, it's part and parcel of playing in Vancouver. But if ownership really believes we're close, we're going to make the playoffs this year, I think they're in for a disappointment. I don't look at the Vancouver Canucks right now and see a playoff team. I see one of the worst tandems in the league. And I like Markstrom and I like Nelson, but I like them both as backups. I don't like either as a starter. You got to have a starter. Now, Thatcher Demko, I'm nervous about Demko. Why? Well, I've just discussed how this team may very well be a bottom feeder in the NHL. If Demko's behind a firing squad and he's facing 40, 45 shots a night, if they have a defensive effort like, say, the Islanders did this past season, what could that do to Demko? Does that help him? Does he look and go, all right, I'm facing all kinds of pucks, this is great? Or does he say, man, I'm just getting killed out here every night, I need some help? And are the Canucks halfway into the season desperately trying to fix goaltending and maybe sending Demko back to Utica because it's a disaster? There are so many pieces on the Canucks right now that I look at and I say, yeah, it's going to get better. Whether it's the blue line, down the middle, on the wings, it's going to get better. But it's not this year. If Linden left a year before his tour of duty with Vancouver was done, because he got tired of fighting with the Acquilinis, and that's the rumor that's out there, that there was one final blow-up between himself and ownership, and he said, that's it, I'm done, I'm out of here. And if ownership's idea is, okay, we've rebuilt long enough, now we need to look at the playoffs, and Linden's saying, playoffs? We'll be lucky to win a game. Like, if he's taking that stance, it could be a long season for Vancouver. So don't be surprised to see some ugly. There's a reason that I acquire ugly Canuck hats and ugly Canuck jerseys, because A, it's part of the team's history, and B, I'm kind of used to things getting ugly. I am one of those Canuck fans, and I've never been one of those Canuck fans before, that says, you know what, let's hope we get Jack Hughes next year. Let's just hope that the team stinks and we finally win the draft lottery and we can get Hughes. Because honestly, you add Hughes to the Canucks core that they've got their building going forward, suddenly then, yes, you could talk playoffs, you could talk about building towards being a contender, because then we'd have a player that would be like what Austin Matthews has been for Toronto. You would finally have that player for Vancouver, and I don't see anybody currently, and that includes Pettersson. And I like Pettersson a lot, but I'm telling you, you need that big number one center, that star player, and they don't have it. So if they put together a patchwork roster this year and they finish, say, 20th or 19th in the league, still miss the playoffs, and don't end up getting a top draft pick, I may go back to the swearing that I used to do on the channel. I haven't decided yet. Could happen. But anyways, there you go. Let me know if you're a fan of the team in the comment section below. How do you feel about the direction of the team moving forward? Does ownership... Are the Acquilinis like a silent version of Melnyk? Melnyk will just go, yeah, see that fire? Started that. And it's not my fault, but I started it. Whereas the Acquilinis will be like, this fire's just, I don't know. We don't know how to put it out, but we keep throwing tires on it, so eventually enough tires will put it out, right? Like, and they seem more silent than Melnyk. Melnyk will come out and kind of own it, and the Acquilinis seem to kind of be like, okay, we'll push somebody else out there to take all the heat. Push somebody else out there to take all the heat. Is that what's going on? It's frustrating. So if you're a Canuck fan, let me know how frustrated you are. If you're not a Canuck fan, let me know how delighted you are in the comment section below, because I know there's people who are delighted with the suffering of the Canucks. And really, it's the team's history, isn't it? Isn't it? I kind of feel like that when I start doing season previews, I should just start with the Canucks and get it over with. Yeah, we're there. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And thank you for attending this session. I feel better having got this off my chest. But it may not be the end of it. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.